So growing together doesn't really have much gameplay. I do actually like the pack, and I think it's really great for people who love legacy gameplay and family gameplay. It's definitely one of those ones that sits in the background, but not every single simmer appreciates the small details of the game, and a lot of people love to just delve straight into proper gameplay. It has milestones, which includes pictures added to the UI menu. It has social enhancements, which are enhancements to the base game social interactions, but doesn't offer new gameplay. Sure, the pack has a brand new recreational center, however this only includes board games as new gameplay and mostly serves a purpose of facilitating base game gameplay like reading books or using gym equipment. The pack has a park to walk in, but this is not new gameplay. Walking has existed basically since the dawn of time. It's just walking. The only proper new gameplay is a treehouse and a baby changing table, and by the way, the baby changing tables exactly match the swatches and designs of the base game cribs and beds, so let's be honest, they were probably considered to be in the base game anyway at first. These are brand new gameplay concepts that I think would have been perfect for growing together if they ever refreshed the pack. Number one, the recreational center. On paper, this is a really nice idea, but it just falls short in that it only really offers jigsaws. Nobody can gaslight me into thinking that puzzles are outstanding gameplay features and that I'm paying for it in an expansion pack. So here's what I think should be included in a rec center. A, skill classes. An EA employee said either on Twitter or in the live stream of Growing Together, I forgot, they said that there would be art classes in the rec center, but there are not. I'm not an expert on coding, but I feel like they could have been implemented in a similar way to spa day activities, being able to offer certain classes or go to classes for any kind of skill. If EA were feeling extra adventurous, they could have added special kids clubs where they learn new skills, especially seeing that Growing Together seems to overhaul the way kids actually gain skills with the new aspirations. They could have even implemented it in a similar way to the high school years classes, make it like some kind of homework club that kids could go to or something. These could have been scheduled in the calendar or be spontaneous. Many people have also asked for a preschool or an elementary school for a long time, and I feel like it could have been the next best thing to add to a rec center. B, age-related events. Before the pack came out, I actually assumed that the rec center would facilitate age-related events, and I'm really surprised that it didn't. Even though Growing Together slightly distinguishes Elder gameplay, it doesn't really, and I think they could have added some more unique elements exclusive to Elders. Rec centers could have had an Elders activity morning once or twice a week to let them gather up with other Elders and have special social interactions, reminiscing together or something. There could also be toddler events too, such as a creche. I don't know if a creche is just like a British thing actually, but it's basically like a club that kids go to whilst their parents are at work. And C, a soft play area. Adding more activities for infants, toddlers, kids would have been great. The treehouse is a really nice addition to the game, but I would have liked to have had a lot more for all ages that you could do in the rec center. The second gameplay thing I want is careers. In my opinion, every single Sims 4 expansion pack should have at least one rabbit hole career that has some semi-active elements to work from home. A daycare career would have honestly been perfect. We know a daycare career would work as well because there's actually a daycare mod. I've played this mod and it's really good and it functions just like an official gameplay feature. Being able to work at a custom built daycare lot or working from home as a daycare person would have been really nice. If Growing Together didn't paywall the toddler slide as a pre-order exclusive, this could have been integrated into a daycare lot too and involve infants too as a means to look after them in a way that's really challenging. If they were feeling less ambitious, they could have had a rabbit hole career as a private tutor, which would have been nice. Imagine being able to work from home and having a kid or teen turn up at your lot and you just help tutor them with some basic interactions. Somebody on Twitter said job interviews. I've always thought it's way too easy to get a job in The Sims 4, and I think it would be so cool if they integrated it into this pack, being able to go to a job interview. So applying for a job one day, having the interview the next day, and maybe having assignments to prepare for the interview, do research for the interview. Whether or not you get the job depends on your skill and the level of the job and what level of promotion that you get put into. I feel like seeing that they did add some basic additions to careers with Growing Together, such as they gave you the ability to get made redundant or have a workplace rivalry. I think they also should have added job interviews as something for especially young adults, as I think it would have been a lot better. I also think a carer career would have been really cool as a rabbit hole career. Many people said they wanted Growing Together to come with retirement homes. I'm one of of the people that actually thought that it would come with retirement homes. And that leads on to my third point, which is retirement homes. Realistically, this could have been implemented like a rabbit hole boarding school did in The Sims 1, 2, and 3, especially seeing that growing together comes with this mechanic of having a distant relative turn up at your lot unexpectedly, and they want to come and stay with you in your home for a while, and they just want to visit you. Having an elder that you put into a home and you can visit them regularly as a rabbit hole experience would be great. And let's say if you don't visit them enough, they turn up at your home lot and they want to stay with you for a week, being some kind of uninvited guest. I think it would be really, really funny if they did that. And I think it would tie in well with, you know, a part-time carer career. At number 4, the imaginary friend. The Sims 3 Generations came with an imaginary friend. It was a doll that if you played with it enough, it turned real and acted as an imaginary best friend that only that one specific child sim could see. And as they grow up, that imaginary friend grows up with them and they can turn into a real person that everyone can see and they can live with you. We don't really have many quirky NPC or like quirky characters in The Sims 4 that we did in previous games. For example, in The Sims 4 Seasons, we have the Scarecrow that can come alive, but that's pretty much it. I honestly really, really wish The Sims 4 Growing Together came with the imaginary friend. I think it would have been the icing on the cake for the pack. At number 5, I would like more world activities. Every single Sims 4 world is bland and lacks substance, but the Willow Creakiness of the Growing Together world, San Sequoia, really, really, really was the icing on the cake in a bad way. I've always thought the Sims team give themselves these like weird restrictions to work with when it comes to worlds. Like, why spend so much of your budget of a pack on a world if you can't do anything in the world? So what, players can play pretend in a certain area of the world? Like, you know, I'm not a child. They don't come with actual gameplay. I mean, easily this could have been resolved if The Sims 4 just had an open world, but that's obviously not the case. So being more realistic, they could have put more objects in the world with more gameplay functionalities, exclusive objects. For example, a small kids park in the main residential area. If the pack came with some new kids stuff, I know the pack comes with a water park, but imagine a bit more, because it's not really engaging gameplay to just watch your Sims splash around in water. I feel like there could have been more. Obviously, the San Sequoia world comes with a movie theater, but what about also a laser tag and paintballing building or something? Or maybe having hopscotch chalk on the floor and your kids can play on it. Literally anything but just empty space. Also, I know a lot of people were really hoping that there would be some apartments in San Sequoia, but there weren't any, and I feel like that would have just been a perfect addition to make a lot of people happy. At number 6, I would have liked proper birthdays. A fundamental part of growing up is having a birthday party. Birthdays aren't really the most fun in The Sims 4. New ways to celebrate your birthday would have been really fun. The build catalog, in my opinion, is not the most inspiring in Growing Together, and having more celebratory objects would have been great, such as balloons. The pack already comes with a confetti cannon, but you know, balloons or a buffet table would have been great. New hireable entertainers, kids party games. I've asked you guys to give me some of your opinions too. A childcare career would have been perfect. A lot of people have been saying, and seeming that it came with The Sims 3 Generations is not unreasonable at all. And a lot of you guys have been saying that. This is one I didn't think of, but acro aerobics and elder aspirations, Tai Chi in the park, lawn bowls. Please, anything, just give me anything. But seriously, these could have actually been really great things for elders that I personally didn't think of. The world seems very shallow and I don't think they should have wasted the budget on it. That budget could have gone to add or expand other categories of the game. Again, totally valid. Same with the daycare thing, babysitter type functionality and active babysitter career. That would have been cool. Any QA testing would have been nice. The Sims 4 is so glitchy, like severely glitchy. The truth is, every single time a pack comes out with new features, when I try and play with them, they almost always break. More park objects like climbing frames and slides, bouncy castles. I honestly wish The Sims 4 Growing Together actually came with a soft play area for kids, like a new special soft play lot, or like a kids play adventure lot where you go into a building and they play around. That would have been amazing. Bingo for Elders, I didn't think about this, but that would have been really cool. They could have added bingo to the rec center too by not hiding a changing table behind a pack. Could not agree anymore. More outdoor activities. We really should have got a hobby overhaul like in The Sims 2 free time. The Sims 2 free time is probably one of the most hated on Sims 2 packs because everybody was like, what is this pack about? But if that concept was integrated into growing together as a part of the overall experience, I feel like it would have been good, especially if integrated with the so-called art classes or hobby classes that we were told were coming with growing together. What's the whole point of a large world if most of it is unusable? Again, totally valid. I asked on Twitter too, and graveyards is something that people have wanted since the Sims 2 base game came out. And, you know, growing together, you also die. Well, you don't die together, but you grow up and you die eventually. It's a natural part of life. You can die in The Sims 4. You have a tombstone. You can technically have funerals in a very backwards way. It technically works, but imagine like a proper system where you could go to a graveyard and put your Sims to rest there. Maybe if you go into the graveyard at night, all of the ghosts pop up and they interact with each other. It would have been really quirky and funny. They could have done it in a way that was very light-hearted. Townhomes, what I'm interpreting that as is a terrace house where the walls are like right next to each other. It could have worked in maybe a similar way to apartments aesthetically, where you can't change the exterior walls, you can only change things on the inside. That would have been so cool. The decoy houses everywhere are so upsetting. Also, no shoes in Cass. I agree, there's a lot of decoy houses in San Sequoia and it's really upsetting because they look real but they're not. And I think it's like a horrible reminder of how empty The Sims 4 is without an open world. A more variety of lots in the world on the cliffs and the ocean front. The world of San Sequoia actually has some really cool looking lots, but they're all just decorations. Imagine being able to build in these areas. It would have been so cool. And more masculine cast options. I actually feel like there were enough masculine clothes in the pack. A lot of people said that they felt like there weren't enough. I actually thought there was more of a balance this time than there was before. The Sims 4 has always had a femme favoritism when it comes to Cass, ever since The Sims 2 really, but I will admit we are lacking men's hairs in Cass and I would have loved to have seen more men's hair. I do think growing together is a very lackluster pack and it has some really great things though, don't get me wrong, and I do think it's a great pack for family and legacy players in terms of the small intricate details of growing up with a family, but it lacks innovation. You have to really pay attention to what's autonomously happening in the game in order to appreciate this pack. For example, paying attention to an infant's head bopping up and down as it reaches a new milestone of being able to lift up its own head properly. These are very, very tiny things that only Speed 1 players will notice. And the truth is, most of the gameplay features in this pack already exist in the base game. They're just packaged in a slightly different way. If a company worth $30 billion wants to upsell something as an expensive expansion pack, then I expect an extremely high level of innovation, game-changing player experience put at the forefront of the pack. And I just don't feel like we got that with growing together. That's just my opinion anyway. And these are the ways I thought it could have been better. If you didn't see my brutally honest review of the pack, you might want to watch that here. You might also be interested in this video here. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.